Sorry? Can you say that again?
The 28th of August, 1996.
1996.
So almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years in China.
Yeah, in Weihai. It was perceived as being very poor and everybody walking around in the Chairman Mao clothes and, and being very communist country.
When I moved to the city, I also heard that you have received an honorary citizen award to be in Weihai forever.
Yeah, well, I have the Ambassador of Friendship for Weihai City and also for Shandong Province. And about 2 years ago, also issued with the Chinese green card.
Wow. So this was as a result of your contribution to the development of Weihai and Shandong in general?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of work, I've done a lot of work over the years with particularly the development zone government, but also the city government, etc. Helping to invite investors and companies to come in and set up here in Weihai.
Most expats, when they go on retirement, they want to go back to their home country, relax. Why have you decided to retire in China?
Why do I want to go to a country that is an organized mess?
You're calling the UK an organized mess?
Yes.
I think your countrymates will not be so happy about this commentary.
The cost of living, the direction of the country, nobody knows what direction.
All right, so sir, thank you so much for honoring my invitation to come on board to share your experiences as an expat living in China. I must confess, when I came to Weihai in 2021, you were the first foreigners I saw being posted on the Weihai community page on Facebook.
Right.
And I remember I reached out to the administrators of the Weihai page on Facebook, and they said that he's a busy man, so it's quite difficult to get rid of him. And I think they gave me your company's email. I sent an email, but I never got to you. I think because you were so busy at that time. So finally, I get a chance to meet and sit and talk to you.
Right.
Thank you so much for coming on board to share your experiences as an expat.
Apologies about the email, because normally I will respond to pretty much everything.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, give us a little background of who you are and how long you've been in China.
Okay, so my name's Des Kennedy. I'm originally from a small town in Northern Ireland. Came here on the 28th of August, 1996.
Sorry? Can you say that again?
The 28th of August, 1996.
1996.
So almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years in China?
Yeah, in Weihai.
In Weihai?
Yeah.
Only Weihai?
All in Weihai, yeah.
I can't believe this because I've interviewed over 100 foreigners in China.
Yeah.
And I've heard people live here for 15 years, 20 years, 25 years. But I've never seen any person that have lived in this country for almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years, yeah.
30 years, almost 30 years in China?
Yes.
I mean, can you give us a little background of how you came to China 30 years ago? I don't know, was visa required for you to come to China at that time?
That was, it was actually quite interesting. When I was in the UK, I was self-employed, I had my own business, basically on machinery, automation and machine tool control systems. And I got a contract through a company in Belfast to come to set up or to rebuild a machine and bring it to China for a Scottish company. So I did all the work in the UK. I came to China, as I say, in the end of August '96 for 4 months to install the machine. And I kind of enjoyed it here. And when I went back home, the managing director of the company called me up just a few days later. He said, "Come and see me." So I went to see him in Belfast. And he said, "Would you go back for a 6-month contract?" I went, "Yeah, why not?" At the time, I was kind of free and looking for more opportunities.
Right.
So I signed a 6-month contract. And when that was up, he phoned me again and said, "Would you stay another 6 months?" Because this was a new venture in China, and they were having a lot of problems setting up equipment, getting things up and running. So I signed another 6-month contract. And then after that was up, I said, "Would you sign a 1-year contract?"
So it was 6 months, 6 months, 6 months,
1 year.
and then 1 year.
And then after that, he went, "Des, would you like a job?" coming for 4 months, almost 30 years later, I'm still here.
Almost 30 years, you are still here.
Yeah.
I mean, coming to a new country altogether 30 years ago, I'm pretty sure you were not that old, you were a very young, vibrant man, and moving to a country, China, and you didn't stay in Shanghai, Beijing, Guangzhou, you moved to Weihai. Small city.
And it is, at that time, nothing like it is today.
Really?
When you see it today, it's
all the beautiful skyscrapers,
big
buildings.
wide roads, it was nothing.
I mean,
like
tell us, when you got to Weihai almost 30 years ago, how was Weihai?
It was a big fishing village. Yeah, okay, it was a bit more than that, but you know, in comparison to some of the bigger cities, even compared to Qingdao or Yantai, I mean, it was really a fishing village. You know the major road through along the seaside,
right,
going out towards the
Koreatown,
Koreatown, yeah, that was one lane each way. And in the summertime, they used to drag the seaweed up onto one of the lanes to dry, so there was only one lane for traffic for both ways at that time. Now it's what, 4 lanes each way?
Wow, wow. Meaning Weihai has really changed a lot. What are some of the major changes you've seen in China in the last 30 years of your life in this country? Weihai, China in general.
In general, I mean, the infrastructure changes has been phenomenal. I mean, China, I mean, I've traveled a lot before I came to China, and even since I've been in China with work, I've traveled a lot. And I've been in India a couple of times. In India, they build a factory, and then they go, oh, there's no road to get to this factory. In China, they put up all these roads and all the infrastructure, and you look and you go, why? And then 2 years later, it's just full of housing and factories and so on. So, I mean, China put in the infrastructure first and then build around it, which is, I think the right way to do, of course. Tourism, certainly in Weihai, tourism in the last 5-10 years has been really
great,
going crazy.
Yeah, I mean, summer Weihai is just like a paradise. People trooping in here every time.
I mean, even before COVID, it was still quite a big holiday destination, but since COVID, it's become even more so. I mean, last year was crazy. You couldn't drive anywhere on the roads for people and scooters and cars from outside of the city, and this year is the same. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of construction, which many people say, it just lies empty, but it lies empty for 1 year, maybe until everything around it's finished, and then all of a sudden it fills up. So, but it's good.
Apart from, I mean, the infrastructure, I've seen articles and I've heard videos, I've watched videos of people saying China has lifted a lot of people out of poverty.
Yeah.
I mean, what has been the general change of the life or of the well-being of the average Chinese person when he got here in comparison to modern China, what we witness today?
I can give you a very good example. The factory which I came here to work in first, at the very beginning there were 2 cars.
2 cars?
2 cars.
Just 2?
The plant manager had a car, and we had 1 public car and a specific driver for picking people up at the airport and so on. And that was it. And everybody rode bicycles.
That was 30 years ago.
This is 25 years ago, yeah,
right.
30. Not even very, very few motorbike. Most people by
rode
bicycle
bicycles
or came by bus to work. And then gradually the bicycles disappeared and more motorbike. And then gradually the motorbike turned into cars. I mean, but when I'm semi-retired now, so the company where I was working when I left, we had just built a new factory, and we put up parking capacity for over 300 cars.
Wow!
And that from 2
to 300
in the space of 25 years.
So is it true that China has moved from bicycles to Bentleys now?
I wouldn't say well, actually, when you look at the quality of the cars on the road, yeah. It's a bit of an exaggeration going to Bentleys, but I mean, you look, how many Audis even in this city now, how many Porsches, Audis,
Benz,
yeah, Benz. It's quite affluent now.
When you moved here 25, almost 30 years ago, can you give us some of the major challenges you faced as an expat? Moving to a new country, and you didn't stay in Shanghai, you moved to Weihai.
The most interesting thing was when I came, there were 4 foreigners in Weihai.
4 foreigners in Weihai?
There was 3 for the company I was working for, and then there was one other lad that was working in one of the tire factories for a Swiss company. And almost nobody spoke any English at all.
Oh my goodness.
And every time you walk down the street, you'll just see people go,
Why go away? Why go? I get that a lot because, obviously I stand a bit out when I'm on the street because of my complexion and everything, and my hairstyle and everything. Yeah. And sometimes it gets to me like you get a lot of stares, a lot of people taking pictures of you, pointing fingers at you. So I mean, I'm just trying to imagine.
It was everybody, because nobody had seen foreigners. Remember, Weihai was a British colony actually in the late 1800s up to the early 1900s, but that generation is long gone. But probably the last 2 generations or 3 generations in Weihai probably never seen a foreigner, and it was amazing. It was the finger and the chin dropping. You could just, but it wasn't 1 or 2 people. It was every time you went out the door, maybe 30% of the people were, and they used to come up and because
touch,
they want to touch the hair on your skin to say hi.
So how did you take that? Were you sometimes mad? Were you, coming from a whole country and having this experience, I think maybe you felt a bit...
I had a very good boss at the time who was extremely open-minded, and he kept his team. He said, don't let it get to you. This is just, we're new here. It's a novelty for the people, and he kind of coached us to, don't let it bother you. And the people weren't being rude. They were actually being very, very friendly people. It wasn't being rude. It was just a case that, this was something completely new. Before coming to Weihai, I'd done a lot of traveling around the world. I did a lot of work I did a lot in South America, in Venezuela. Wouldn't go there now, but at that time it was okay. So South America, North America, Europe, Southeast Asia as well. So travel and going somewhere new wasn't something out of the normal for myself. Staying for 30 years it used to be 1 month here. 1 month there.
You coming to China and getting into this country, did it actually meet your expectation when you got here?
I actually didn't have...
Okay, before you answer that, quick one, how was China perceived in the Western world before you came here at that time?
It was perceived as being very poor and everybody walking around in the Chairman Mao clothes and being very communist country. To a certain degree, going back at that time, they were just moving out of that kind of culture and expanding and inviting, Western influence. Western influence, Western investment, etc., into the country. So the country was really in the early stages of the opening up. So some of my perception was probably correct, but I didn't expect it to change so quickly. And that's the really phenomenal thing in China. Things change on the blink of an eye. We had the company I was working with, we had a lot of foreign visitors, and maybe people come and they don't come for 2 years, and they come back and they go, "What did you do? What did you do to this city?"
Exactly.
So it just changed so much in a short period of time.
It's the same. Like I lived in Yantai before,
Okay.
And when I lived in Yantai, I was in Yantai before they built the Yantai Panline Airport,
Yeah.
and it was just Terminal 1. 2 days ago, my friend was traveling from Yantai.
Yeah.
He got to the airport, and there's a new terminal, Terminal 2.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And
the
it's so
last time I was
beautiful.
there.
And my friend was like, bro, this terminal looks way better than some of the airports I've seen, major airports I've seen in Europe. And this is just a small city. A small city in Shandong.
But when I came, Weihai Airport, the terminal building was probably no bigger than this coffee shop.
Oh, was it the same as the military base?
Yeah.
I used that. That was the airport I used.
The terminal building was like this. And actually, when I came at the very beginning, Beijing, you know, Beijing Terminal 1, the 2 round buildings? That was.
I didn't know that.
That was all there was. There was one round building which was international, one was domestic, and not so many gates, so it was just like a round building and then small gates off to the side. And they were just started building Terminal 2 when I arrived. Now you've Terminal 3, and then now you've got Daxing. I haven't been in Daxing yet, but they tell me it's beautiful.
I mean, China, I've been here for 10 years already, and I've seen major changes. When I moved to Yantai years ago, Yantai had only 1 train station.
Yeah.
And now they got 2 train stations. Yantai had not even a bigger mall, but now they have Rigo Mall, they have Joy City, they have Aeon. Like, I see the change in the everyday life of the average Chinese people. Moving here, how was it like working with Chinese people? Like, at that time, I think most of the guys didn't speak English.
Yeah.
And you, as a foreigner, how was your Chinese at that time? Did you take some major Chinese classes?
That's my biggest regret, was not taking time to learn Chinese. I'll be totally serious. I mean, I am actually a little bit embarrassed having been here this long. I mean, I can get by in Chinese, I can talk to taxi drivers, I can order food, I can do, but to sit and have a really
deep conversation, that is one of my regrets.
And that's my biggest regret, actually. And it was really, you know, when I came here, I just submerged myself in work. I really didn't have time for anything else apart from work. I did a lot of traveling inside China because what we wanted to do was the products we were making, we were importing so much. So one of the challenges we had was, right, let's localize everything. I think in 1 year, in 2020, I think it was, I did over 200 flights in 1 year.
Whoa.
It was almost every day, new supplier, go here, go here. And but it was great fun. I basically saw all of China in 1 year, from north to south, east to west. Yeah. But I say my biggest regret is not actually
taking time to study the language.
We did have a few of us got a teacher in Shandong University at one point. Just 1 night per week for 2-3 hours, but then it got to be, oh, I'm traveling this week, or I'm on a business trip, or someone else was, and it just all fell flat. So it did. But my wife is Chinese now, and my 2 children, I mean, they're brought up in Chinese public schools, etc. So their first language is Chinese. All their friends, of course, are all Chinese. But they, you know, I tend to try and force them to speak as much English at home for their own benefit, but you know, it also rubs off back and forward both ways.
So I mean, so you started family in China?
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about your family life here. Did you meet your wife in Weihai?
No, actually, I met my wife in Beijing.
In Beijing?
Yeah. And she's not from Beijing, she was working in Beijing. And the company I was working for, our sales engineering office was in Beijing, so I did a lot of traveling up and down for meetings. And I met my wife in Beijing. She's from Hunan in central China. And then she wanted to stay in Beijing. She said, I don't want to move to a small city like Weihai. But then after coming once or twice, she went, beside the sea, so beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
So we set up here. So
how many kids do you have?
I have 2, I have 1 boy and one girl. So my son, I say he's just got into university.
Congrats to him.
So he starts in September in university in China. And my daughter has just finished her first year in high school. So.
From where you come from, how is like raising a family in your country of origin as compared to the Chinese culture? Is there any major difference? Are there any major differences?
To be honest, I don't think there's any
Major difference.
The big difference for the children is the school. In the UK where I'm from, you go to school at about 9 a.m. You finish about 3:30 in the afternoon. Maybe some homework, maybe not. You go and play. China, I'm dropping my kids off at school 7 a.m., picking them up at 9 p.m., and then they had still homework to do. And the school regime is very, very tough on children. But I mean, my wife said many times about sending overseas. But I said, it builds up really strong character, I think.
So it was deliberate decision for you to put your kids in the Chinese education system?
That time there was no international schools in Weihai.
Okay.
No good international. There was
school.
a couple that were kind of called international, but they weren't. My daughter is actually now at my son came right through the public Chinese education system. My daughter's currently in the Korean Juncture, Korean International School. So yeah, but it's different.
let's cheers. I like your story because I feel so honored to sit here and have this conversation. Like I said before, I watch you on the Weihai Facebook page, and I really need to look for this man and speak to him because being in this country, China is a different world, no matter how we look at it. And people have different perceptions and what China is supposed to be. And when they get here and they don't really get to see the real China that we're expecting, they get disappointed.
Yeah, but I think most people that come with a perception of this communist poor city, when they land in Beijing or Shanghai, they go, wow. Wait, actually, I do a lot of work at the moment for a company that makes small boats.
Okay.
It's owned by a French gentleman. And they had some dealers from, where was it recently? Somewhere in Europe, I think. And it was their first time ever in China.
China.
And I think Julian went to meet them in Shanghai, and they just went, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. And yeah, it's the same. Sorry, it wasn't the boat company, it was an Argentinian friend of mine. Do you know Adolfo? Oh, yeah.
No.
Maybe he comes in back and forward, but sorry, it was him. Had some customers come from South America. That was it. And they were going to an exhibition in Shanghai, so and they could not believe Shanghai. But Shanghai, I tell you, when I came to China, you know Pudong.
Pudong.
When I came to Shanghai, or to China at the beginning, on my first few trips to Shanghai, there was nothing on that side of the river.
Really?
It was just farmland. Nothing. There were some hutongs and farming villages. There was nothing there. And they built Pudong in a matter of about 5 years. You know, okay, it's still expanding, but they went from farmland to, you know, the Pearl Tower and the bottle opener and all that. They did that in about 5 years.
Like a friend told me, like when we look at the civilization or development of the Europe and the US, it took them many, many years, centuries, right?
Yeah.
How and why is China developing so fast? Because I don't even have an idea of how. I asked a Chinese person, because in my country, Ghana, when there's a project, I'll tell you, there's some project that was started by our first president.
Yeah.
That's 1950s, and it's still not completed.
Well,
I'm telling you.
It's a bit like the UK. I don't know if you've heard of the HS2.
No, I don't know about it.
It's a small rail link, I forget even between which two cities, but relatively speaking, it's maybe 200 kilometres, if even that. They were talking about it before I left in '96, and it's still not started. So because they're still arguing, and now the cost has like gone up tenfold.
Yeah.
It's gone from a few hundred million to billions of pounds.
And the funny thing about our side of the world is, anytime there's a change of government, the new government stop the development of the previous government's project. Yes. So there are projects that were started by previous government and it's still uncompleted. But I see projects in China, 1 year, 2 years, you leave a city, you go back in the next a year or two,
Yeah.
and you go like, but this was not here when I moved out of this place.
Yeah. But
what is China doing differently though?
Yeah, but see, this is, a lot of people criticize the Chinese for having basically one party. I argue the point that, okay, you have one party, but if you change the leader, the thinking of the party doesn't change. So what, they do their 5-year plans, etc. So what is in those plans doesn't change. Maybe tweak a little bit, but it's unlike the UK. I mean, I was just looking at the election.
Right?
And it went from Tory government. And the number of seats fell by over 250 on the Tories, and the Labour gone. So now, what will happen in the UK is all the projects the Conservatives had in place, stop, throw that out, and change and do this. And there's no stability.
There's no stability, yeah.
And it's the same in the US. You've got the Republicans and the what have you? At the moment, Trump and Biden, two people that should not be allowed to run a country. Let's not go into politics here. But you know what I mean? And no matter what one does, whether it's right or wrong, the other one has to change it. So you get no stability, no growth. In China, even the leader changes, the country is still going the same direction. And that's where they have gained, I think, so much
progress.
Particularly in the last 15, 20 years, that they've invested so much in infrastructure. You look at the high-speed rail.
Yeah, high-speed rail. Yeah, man.
The number of new airports. The metro stations, Beijing, when I came at the beginning, they had the Loop line, line 2, and line 1 went just a little bit past each end of the Loop line. Now, how many metro lines are there in Beijing?
It's amazing. It's amazing. Like when I travel to some cities in China and I take the metro system, like I ride on those subways, I go like, sometimes I wish I have that in my country.
Yeah.
Because like Ghana is not a super big country. If China can connect all major cities through this high-speed trains, I wish I have that in my country. Because in my country, Ghana, you only have to travel by the road.
Yeah.
So it puts so much pressure on our road infrastructure.
Yeah.
But look at China. If I'm traveling in China, I have so many options to go. depending on my pocket,
But actually now, I mean, to be honest, I prefer to go by rail.
I love that.
If possible. Not because of the price, but it's more convenient.
It's more convenient.
Weihai Airport has limited options on flights, so you go to Yantai, it's an hour and a half drive when the highway's open. Now the highway coming back is closed, so it's over 2 hours coming back. You have to be at the airport 1 hour before.
So I love the train. It's more convenient.
The train, you walk in 15 minutes before the train's due to depart. The trains are always on time, and it's so convenient. And now they're getting faster and faster. I mean, I did Beijing to Qingdao there recently. 2 hours, 58 minutes, I think it was.
It's crazy. Yesterday I was checking trains from Weihai to Beijing.
Yeah.
And there's a train that travels within less than 5 hours, you are in Beijing.
Yeah, there's 4.5 hours. I do that about once a month. I go to Beijing.
Man, China. I mean, and you are retired, you are semi-retired now. Or are you fully retired?
I'm semi-retired. I work 2 days per week.
2 days per week.
Two different companies. I do basically just some consulting work. So.
Most expats, when they go on retirement, they want to go back to their home country, relax. Why have you decided to retire in China?
Why do I want to go to a country that is an organized mess?
You're calling the UK an organized mess?
Yes.
I think your countrymates will not be so happy about this commentary.
The cost of living. The direction of the country, nobody knows what direction it's going. Here, I live beside the sea. Winters are a bit cool, but it's nice to have 4 seasons.
4 seasons, right?
And you have the opportunity. I mean, you can go stay in the south of China for a couple of months if you want the heat, but I don't mind the cold. Coming from Ireland, we've been used to it.
So what about if your kids decide to leave China and go live in the UK, are you going to allow them? What's going to be the best?
I am not going to stop them doing anything. My son, to be honest, I would be very surprised. My son is very much a home person. Even when going to university, I said, where do you want to go? Anywhere in the world. I said anywhere in the world but the US. That was my only restriction.
Why your only restriction?
Safety.
So you think the US is not safe?
Yeah, I mean, my son is very Chinese looking, so at the moment there's a lot of racism against Chinese people, particularly in the US, and I really wouldn't feel safe with him going there. Anywhere else, I said, fine. He said, no, I want to stay in China.
So if you are to sum your total experience living, I mean, moving from the UK to China, you've been here for about 25 years, you set up companies, you've met a lot of people, you've traveled across China, you have your own family here, you have semi-retired in China, you live in the beautiful coastal city of Weihai. I mean, if you were to sum up your total experience coming to China, what are you going to say? I'm
going to say no regrets.
Are you fulfilled coming here?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy my life. Yeah. It's not, you don't need to be super rich to survive here. You can have a really good life with a reasonable amount of savings. So, yeah, if you want to do all the fancy stuff, you need money, but you can have a really good life at a reasonable cost. The country itself, it's safe. One really good thing about China is the safety. I mean, even you go to the big cities, Beijing, Shanghai. When I was much younger, I wouldn't think twice of coming out of a bar at 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning and walking home, walking back to the hotel. I would never think twice about it. In my hometown, which is a small town in Northern Ireland, people say, "Oh, you wouldn't do that. You'd have a taxi get you at the door and drop you at your house." Yeah. So it's really safe. The food is fantastic.
You like it?
Oh yeah.
What's your favorite Chinese food?
My favorite food is probably hot pot.
Hot pot?
I like hot pot. I was actually out with some friends last night.
My favorite is mala shangwa. I love that too. Yeah. I love that.
So I like hot food. I mean, there's so much variety in the food. Living in Weihai, if you like seafood, it's seafood heaven. That's
a fishing harbor right here.
I'm not a huge fan of seafood. I like a little bit, but I'm not a massive seafood fan.
I see a lot of influence of West because now there's visa free for most Western countries coming to China. Yeah. And I see a lot of influence of Westerners coming to China to experience China for the first time. And they get so surprised about the infrastructure, the people, the culture, because the reportage about China in the Western media out there is never what the reality is.
The reality.
I understand that there's a whole politics about the media war between China, and I understand that. I don't want to go into that, but the point is, what is your message to people who want to come to China, who want to come experience China, but they still believe what is being reported in the media? What is your experience? What is your message to them? I mean, you've been here. I mean, you feel like more of a local now. The last time I met you, you were walking your dog early morning, remember? Yeah. And I was surprised to see you. I'm like, oh, okay, this is the man I've been looking for years. What is your message to people who want to come to China for the first time?
It's I mean, people have been so brainwashed, I would say, in the Western world about China, particularly in the last number of years. And it's very hard to change people's perception. And the only way to really change it is come and see.
Come and experience it.
Come and experience it. Anyone that comes and experiences it and regrets it, I would be so surprised. I mean, I think regretting coming to China would be almost impossible.
Possible, right?
It's got so much to offer. Food, sightseeing. It's safe, it's friendly. I haven't been. The only other country that comes close is Singapore. Singapore is one of my favourite holiday destinations.
But it's too expensive.
Again, it's the same. It's
too expensive.
Great food.
It's too expensive. It's too expensive in Singapore as compared to China.
If you know the right places, yeah, I mean, it's okay. But I mean, I've spent a lot of time in Singapore.
I've been there twice, and I love it. When I moved to the city, I also heard that you have received an honorary citizen award to be in Weihai forever.
Yeah, well, I have the ambassador of friendship for Weihai City and also for Shandong Province, and about 2 years ago also issued with the Chinese green card.
Wow. So this was as a result of your contribution to the development of Weihai and Shandong in general?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of work, I've done a lot of work over the years with particularly the development zone government, but also the city government, etc., helping to invite, investors and companies to come in and set up here in Weihai. Yeah.
Congratulations. I thank you so much for coming to share your experience. I mean, this is very beautiful to have this conversation, to tap into your knowledge and your life in China, talking about family, your work life, and everything here. And on behalf of my audience and people who are going to be seeing this video, because I'm going to put this video on the internet,
yeah.
And we want to wish you a happy, healthy retirement.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy your life in Weihai, enjoy your life with your family, and grow in health. I want to see you walk your dog every morning.
Yeah, you're just beside me.
I want to see you being happy and healthy and live your life, and we wish you the best. Thank you so much.
And if your audience have any questions they would like to ask, if they push them through you,
yeah, you can push them to me. Sure. So if you have any question about life in China, if you you want to see part 2 of this conversation, just drop your questions.
We can do a part 2.
We can do a part 2, and we're going to surely do this for you guys. So thank you so much. Let's have a cheers. Let's have a toast to this. Yeah. Good life, good health. Thank you so much.